think it could go either way. I think it's a great matchup, but I am leaning heavily toward John Jones in that one. Like, I don't think it'll be a complete blowout, but I think you'll
Hmm.
see two different levels of martial arts. And I think John Jones, especially as the fight goes on, will probably negate a lot of Ciryl Gane's offense and shut him down and force him into poor body position, um, force him into poor positions, both on the feet and on the ground. I just think there's like a difference between their martial arts skills. I think one of the best attributes that Ciryl Gane brings to the cage is his speed and explosiveness and athleticism. Not explosiveness and power in the exact same ways like a Francis Ngannou who has like clearly more power. Ciryl Gane still hits like a truck and can knock anyone out, but I think it's more
Hmm.
like his quickness and agility, um, his ability to stay light on his feet, and he has good distance awareness. I think as the fight goes longer, John Jones breaks that down, and I think a good case study for that one is looking at the Dominick Reyes fight. Everyone talks about, a lot of people talk about how Dominick Reyes got cheated in the Jones fight. I disagree. I thought Jones won that fight. I had it 3 rounds to 2. I had rounds 3, 4, and 5 to Jones, and I liked the way he really took over the fight.
Hmm.
While Dominick Reyes was landing some shots early on and kind of like flustering, throwing enough volume to kind of land on Jones. And then there were a couple combos where Jones just seemed like checked out and almost like he treated it like sparring, where a guy gets ahead of you and you kind of like jog away back to the center of the mats and then reset.
Yeah.
He kind of had a couple times, and Reyes is like, "We're fist fighting in a cage for the world title. I'm not stopping until I have to." And so he
Yeah.
let off like 15 strike combo or whatever. Um, so barring those, especially the one in the third, because that, Reyes started the round with that. I thought in the third, after that combo, Jones did a really good job of forcing Reyes into bad positions on the feet, exploiting some of the holes in Reyes's striking defense and predicting where Reyes is offensive. So he's catching his rhythm very well and forcing him onto heels, forcing him to stand tall, forcing him to cross his feet, forcing him when loading his shots, because Reyes loads his shots in only a few main ways. Kind of Jones
Hmm.
did a good job of disrupting those strikes, those kind of like building momentum before striking. Jones did a good
Yeah.
job of kind of shutting that down as the fight went on, and it forced Reyes into worse and worse positions. And that's when Jones really started like picking him apart and landing big shots. And I thought the the momentum and tide of the fight really changed. Like in my opinion, it was like, okay, Jones is clearly the more comfortable person in there. If I had to pick who I'd rather be in that fight, which is, I think, when in doubt, the best way to decide who won the fight, I would have rather been John Jones than Dominick Reyes.
Yeah. So I guess it's kind of you thinking it'll go like that Dominic Reyes fight a little bit, where like Ciryl will
Yeah.
show some pretty impressive striking along the lines, but John Jones will have that grit and kind of like use his IQ to overmatch that almost. I think what he'll do is kind of get him up along the fence, and that's where it's just basically over with, for Jones for
I
there.
think
Like
so.
as long as he pushes Gone against the fence, it's easy night, I think.
I think so too. I think Reyes has cleaner boxing than Gane. So I think
Yeah.
Reyes would be more willing to engage in the pocket than Gane is. I think when Gane and Jones get into the pocket, like a boxing range, Jones will force a clinch. And I think the clinch is going to heavily favor John Jones, both in takedowns and in striking. I think Jones is excellent at striking from the clinch. I think he's excellent at taking guys down from the clinch. And I don't know how effective Gane's takedown defense is or how effective his wrestling is. Not because I don't think he's good. He's just still fairly new to MMA. I think he's only been training like 5 years, which is insane.
Yeah.
Um, and not to discredit Gane at all, he's fucking amazing and could absolutely win this fight, especially at heavyweight. You never know what's going to happen. But
Hmm.
I think Jones picks him apart. I think those lead leg attacks, knee stomps, and calf kicks, and mostly the oblique kicks and knee stomps will change how Gane moves. He'll either make him move more, like a lot more lateral movement, so his knee isn't as much of a stationary target, which is
Hmm.
exhausting. He isn't prepared to move at that same volume throughout the fight, right? So that'll add up. or it will force Gane to face his knee forward, so not in such a bladed stance, which I think is one of the ways he's able to move in and out and laterally so well. If you force him to change his kind of foot positioning and knee positioning to face forward to make the knee stomp less effective,
And he
I
can't
think
like
that
hop around as much.
right, and just like having to consciously change your stance, like the thing you should be thinking about least when you're in there, can fuck with your head. And then the last thing is if those aren't working, he'll have to then like sit down on his knee to put weight on the legs and bend the knee so that when the stomp comes, there's like strength in the legs,
Mm-hmm.
which Gane doesn't want to sit flat-footed. If he sits flat-footed in front of Jones, he's going to lose this fight. John Jones doesn't use a ton of angles. He's not offline a ton. He moves for the most part straight forward, straight backward, but he also has an 84.5-inch reach. So there you can kind of get away with that when you're all arms and legs and you're 6'4" or whatever he is. He's long as hell. So he kind of gets away with that. He hides behind like a long shell guard. Um, I think if Gane presses past that guard, that's where Jones will tie up and start clinching,
Mm.
starting to land knees and elbows. I think a lot of lead leg stomps will make Gane uncomfortable. It might make Gane dive in and out even more in the first couple rounds to try and capitalize on Jones's stomps and try to get Jones to stop stomping on the knee. But I don't see, unless Jones gets hurt multiple times doing that, I don't see him stopping the stomps and side kicks. And I think those add up and change the way that Gane moves throughout the fight. I think
Mm-hmm.
that allows Jones to land hard stabs to the body well. I think it allows him to get into the clinch and land knees and elbows. I think it allows him to get takedowns in the open or on the fence from the clinch. And once he's on top, I think Jones is considerably better on the
Yeah.
ground, especially once he's on top.
Yeah. And then just the last thing on that is like, do you think that Gane's team is probably like thinking, hey, you should go in there and like take out the legs? Because maybe from like, from Gane's side, if you're looking for a weakness on John, it's the legs, right? So do you think that might play an X factor in it? Or do you think John's IQ with like those oblique kicks and the front kicks and all that is going to kind of keep him safe as well from like eating a lot of calf kicks and shit like that?
I think that'll probably save him from eating a lot of calf kicks, having those stomps. I see Gane going back to that toe stab that he used a lot against Tai Tuivasa. I see him
Mm,
trying to use that a lot, especially where John Jones has like the long guard. His body's a little more exposed to those shots as he's exiting. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see like hand fight, bounce, 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 hand fight, toe stab from Gane. I think especially early in the fight, that will pay dividends. I think mixing that in with like a blitz left or like a big lead right hook from Gane or a lead right uppercut, I think will score, especially early. The toe stab, I think, will be effective. He may lead leg stomp, like right side leg stomp to Jones. This is all assuming he's fighting more southpaw, which he switches. He tends to be, I think, more southpaw, but he switches. I think that rear leg, so Gane's left toe stab will be most effective when Jones is orthodox. I think he'll blitz in and dive with his head offline and straight left a lot. But I do see a lot more single shots. So unless they hurt Jones, I think Jones's forward pressure, especially as the rounds start going on, will really wear
mm,
on Gane. First and second round might be close and Jones might drop the first two rounds. But I think once we start hitting the third, fourth, and fifth, Jones will kind of get ahead, especially if it's on the feet or sorry, on the feet in the later rounds. If he takes them down early, we may see an earlier pull ahead for Jones.